The night before my wedding, I stopped by my sister's house to surprise her with the maid of honor gift I'd forgotten to give her. As I reached her front door, I heard my name. I smiled until I heard my sister whisper, "By tomorrow night, she'll never know what really happened." My parents laughed quietly. Then my fiancé's voice answered, "Just get her to sign the papers after the ceremony." My heart stopped. I wasn't supposed to hear any of it. I slowly backed away from the door, climbed into my car, and decided tomorrow's wedding would happen, but not the way any of them expected. My name is Rachel Bennett. I'm 33 years old, and for the past 12 years, I've served as a logistics officer in the United States Army. My career taught me to trust preparation over emotion, facts over assumptions, and instinct when something didn't feel right. The night before my wedding, every part of my life seemed exactly where it was supposed to be, or so I believed. I had been with my fiancé, Daniel, for 4 years. We met through mutual friends during one of my leave periods, and unlike military life, loving him had always felt simple. He was patient through deployments, celebrated every promotion, and convinced me that after years of moving from base to base, I'd finally found a permanent home. My older sister, Melissa, couldn't have seemed happier for us. She'd planned my bridal shower, organized the rehearsal dinner, and insisted on being the perfect maid of honor. Even my parents had been unusually supportive, helping with decorations, guest lists, and countless last-minute wedding details. For the first time in years, our entire family felt united. After the rehearsal dinner ended around 9 that evening, I realized I'd forgotten something important. Inside my car sat a small gift box wrapped in ivory paper. It was a custom bracelet engraved with the words, "Always my first best friend." I'd bought it for Melissa weeks earlier. She lived only 15 minutes away, so I decided to surprise her instead of waiting until the morning. I didn't call. I wanted it to be a simple, happy moment. When I pulled into her driveway, I noticed 3 unfamiliar cars already parked outside. The living room lights were still on. I smiled. They were probably finishing wedding plans. Carrying the gift box, I walked toward the front porch. Before I reached the door, I heard laughter. Then my mother's voice. "She'll sign it." I stopped. Daniel answered quietly. "She trusts all of us." Something inside me tightened. I hadn't meant to listen, but my name came next. Melissa lowered her voice. "Just don't let Rachel read everything after the ceremony." My heartbeat instantly sped up. Dad chuckled. "She's going to be exhausted after the reception." Daniel laughed softly. "Exactly. We'll tell her it's routine paperwork before the honeymoon." Routine paperwork? I looked down at the gift still resting in my hands. No one inside knew I was standing just beyond the front door. Melissa spoke again. "By tomorrow night, everything will already be signed." Mom added. "And she'll never realize what was included." Silence. Not inside the house. Inside me. Every instinct I'd developed during years of military service screamed the same warning. Something was wrong. Very wrong. Without making a sound, I stepped backward off the porch. I returned to my car, locked the doors, and sat there staring through the windshield. On the passenger seat rested the folder containing every document I'd planned to sign after tomorrow's ceremony. My hand slowly reached for it. I opened the cover, then whispered 4 words that changed everything. Tomorrow, I read everything. I didn't sleep that night. The unopened gift for Melissa remained on the passenger seat while I sat at my kitchen table, surrounded by wedding invitations, seating charts, and the thick folder Daniel had given me after the rehearsal dinner. He'd smiled when he handed it over. "Just the last few documents we'll sign after the ceremony," he'd said. Nothing exciting. At the time, I believed him. Now, every page felt different. I made coffee, opened the folder, and started reading from the very beginning. The marriage license looked normal. Vendor receipts, insurance information, venue confirmations. Everything appeared exactly as I remembered discussing. Then I reached a section clipped together with a blue paper tab. I frowned. I didn't remember seeing it before. The heading read, "Property and Financial Agreement." That wasn't unusual by itself. Daniel and I had agreed months earlier to sign a simple agreement protecting the assets we'd each earned before marriage. I kept reading. Halfway through the document, my stomach tightened. Several clauses were completely unfamiliar. One stated that any home purchased after the marriage would automatically become jointly owned, regardless of who provided the down payment. Another gave Daniel broad authority to manage certain shared investment accounts if I was deployed overseas. The final page included language transferring partial control of several future financial decisions without requiring separate written approval. I stopped reading. None of that had ever been discussed. Not once. I immediately searched my email for the original draft my attorney had reviewed. Within minutes, I found it. I placed both versions side by side. They weren't the same. Entire paragraphs had been added. My pulse quickened. At 7:03 a.m., I called my attorney, Jennifer Collins. She answered almost immediately. Rachel, everything okay? I need you to compare two agreements. I emailed both files while explaining what I'd overheard the night before. 5 minutes later, Jennifer called back. Rachel, don't sign anything. My heart pounded. What's wrong? The version you sent me last month is completely different. She paused. Someone inserted additional legal provisions. Those changes should never appear without both parties reviewing and approving them. So, I wasn't imagining it.
No.
She spoke carefully. You absolutely did the right thing by reading every page. What do we do now? Jennifer didn't hesitate. We prepare a corrected agreement reflecting exactly what you originally approved. By 8:30 that morning, she arrived at my hotel suite carrying a revised folder. Every page had been carefully reviewed. Every clause matched our original discussions. As she packed her briefcase, she looked directly at me. You have every reason to confront them. I slowly shook my head. Not yet. An hour later, Melissa knocked on my bridal suite door wearing her maid of honor dress and a bright smile. There you are, she laughed. We've all been looking for you. Then her eyes landed on the paperwork beside me. She smiled a little too quickly. Oh, don't waste your wedding morning reading boring legal documents. I quietly closed the folder, then smiled back. Don't worry. I've already finished reading every single word. For the first time that morning, Melissa's smile disappeared. By 2 o'clock that afternoon, every guest was seated. The ceremony was beautiful. The music played exactly as we'd planned. White roses lined the aisle. Friends smiled through happy tears as I walked toward Daniel, who looked at me with the same warm expression I'd trusted for 4 years. If anyone noticed I was unusually calm, they didn't say anything. The ceremony ended with applause. We exchanged rings. The officiant announced us husband and wife. To everyone watching, it had been a perfect wedding. Then we walked into a private room beside the reception hall to sign the remaining paperwork. Daniel smiled as he placed the familiar folder on the table. Let's finish the boring part before we celebrate. Melissa, my parents, and the wedding coordinator stood nearby. Everyone looked strangely relaxed, almost expectant. Daniel opened the folder. Just sign where the tabs are. Instead of reaching for his documents, I calmly removed another folder from my handbag, the one Jennifer had prepared that morning. I think we'll use these instead, I said. Daniel frowned. What are those? The agreement my attorney reviewed. The room instantly fell silent. Melissa's face lost its color. My mother looked at my father. No one spoke. Daniel forced a smile. Rachel, why would we need different paperwork? Because I read every page last night. His expression changed immediately. What do you mean? I mean the agreement you asked me to sign wasn't the same one my attorney approved. I placed both versions on the table. The differences are highlighted. Before anyone could answer, the door opened. Jennifer Collins stepped inside exactly as we'd arranged. She greeted everyone politely before opening both folders. There are several additional provisions inserted into this version, she explained calmly. They significantly change future financial responsibilities. She looked toward Daniel. These clauses were never included in the draft my client previously approved. Daniel stared at the documents. I thought they were standard revisions. Jennifer replied evenly. Standard revisions are explained to both parties before signing. Silence filled the room. I finally looked at my sister. The conversation at your house wasn't as private as you believed. Melissa's eyes widened. You were there? I came to give you your maid of honor gift. She slowly lowered her head. Mom whispered, Rachel. I raised my hand gently. I didn't come here to embarrass anyone. I came here because trust matters. I turned back to Daniel. If you'd simply asked me to review changes with my attorney, we could have had that conversation. But asking me to sign documents without reading them. I shook my head. That's not how trust works. Daniel's shoulders dropped. I'm sorry. I should have handled this differently. I never wanted you to feel deceived. I believe you regret it now, I answered quietly. But honesty isn't measured after someone gets caught. It's measured before they have the opportunity. Jennifer gathered the unsigned paperwork. The revised agreement remained untouched. I looked around the room one final time. I won't sign any legal document unless every page is transparent, every question is answered, and every decision is made together. No one argued, because there was nothing left to defend. Months later, I looked back on that unexpected evening outside my sister's front door. I realized something important. I hadn't accidentally overheard the conversation that nearly changed my future. I had accidentally protected it. Sometimes life doesn't warn you with loud alarms. Sometimes it whispers through a door you were never supposed to stop beside. And if you listen carefully enough, one quiet moment can save an entire lifetime.